and I'm sending a message to chat. Hi, I don't know who's out there watching us.
Hey. All right. Yep. And before we get into this, Spacegodzilla, dollar deck. That was that fun?
No. Strong no. This is not. I don't like it. I wasn't into this. I still am not. You will notice there's a lot of cards that will be shared between our two decks because I am playing in at least one of the colors, and there's a lot of we'll get more into this, but I think this deck looks great, and I'm bummed I didn't get to play it, right? Especially after you said you had so much fun with it. But
what are you doing on the stream on Monday?
On Monday?
Yeah.
Playing a non-dollar deck that I'm going to be playing in the stream 2 weeks later, probably. I didn't get the chance to play.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, these will be seen. And unfortunately not to anyone. We're still at 0 viewers. Come on, somebody. Anybody out there. We're begging. Oh, we got one.
That's just me.
Oh, is it? Is it?
Suck it.
Users in chat. Yep. You're right.
Yeah.
Broadcaster and
hey,
looks like.
Who knows? Maybe YouTube will enjoy this video more.
Correct. Absolutely.
All right, you ready to start recording?
Yeah, let's do this.
All right.
All right, I think I got all my goodies here. We got this out. Ugh, God. All right,
no,
here we go.
No, whoa.
There we go. Hey, glub.
Welcome
I
was
looking at
144.
I was looking at
CMD Towers Brews and Builds.
I was looking at one of the cards. I was looking at one of the cards. I was like, oh my God, this is like the best card in the deck.
I'm Mr. Goblin, number 5, and my fellow hosts will be examining this deck with the detail of Foundry Inspector BigTuck.
Hey, man, let me tell you, I just added another. So I've been on this. I'm still dating. Hey, how are you? First off, and hello, cats and kittens, all that jazz. But I've been trying to drink less during the week, and I joined yet another pseudo sport activity that involves drinking. So I had the hashing, right? And I finally had a Thursday night off. So I joined this thing called NOTA, the Social Bike Club. So they bike for 10 miles, stop and drink, and then bike home, right? So I thought this would be a 2-hour ordeal, right? It sounds like you 30 minutes of biking, you stop for a beer or two, and then you go again. Dude, we were at this brewery for maybe an hour, just sitting there. I was like, guys, are we am I just gonna sit here and just keep drinking beers? What are we gonna do? And then some poor woman popped her tube, and we were just sitting there for another 30 minutes just trying to get her to fix it, and it didn't work. So that was a whole thing. So that was a fun thing. And then the other thing I want to say is I've heard you on the phone, and you are very much in work, pretty prim and proper, right? I haven't heard I haven't heard you swear a lot or use any other coarse language, as they call it. So is that and I imagine certainly without clients, right? With your clients, You're not using these sort of phrases.
No, I would say the most I do with a customer is if I have a good relationship with them, I'll be like, hey, and excuse my language, but this is crap. Or this is BS. Or something like that. But no, I'm never like, oh, fuck this.
Yeah, fuck this and fuck you.
Yeah. No, and even with my team, I even apologize to them. If I say shit or damn.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Never say bitch. Never say fuck.
Yeah.
Kind of the big ones.
How do you refer? How do you refer to a group?
What do you mean?
What would you say if you were like, hey, everyone that's sitting at this table with us?
Oh, hey, y'all.
Y'all? Okay, so you don't use guys?
No. But that's just more me. I've never really been a guys person.
Hey, guys. Sure.
I've only really ever done that, and it's oddly enough just with male groups.
Sure.
I only ever say guys. But anytime there's any type of blend, I usually go with y'all or hey everyone.
I prefer
something like that.
I prefer team or cowards or you bastards. that sort of thing. So anyway, I've been working at this job now for 6 months, setting all types of records, right? Or almost 6 months. And I have heard my boss, he's very calm. It's okay, you know, and everything for him is just like,
sure.
So here's the thing, right? And I was like, just asking him about like benefits. So I've heard him swear exactly twice. And the first time was he phrased it like this. He's like, our process for this, and if I was going to be someone who used more vulgar terms, is really fucked up. And everyone's just like, it's like hearing, you know, like God speak. And then today we were like talking about this encryption on this platform, and he was like,
sure.
Guys, if they're not doing this currently, it's going to be a fucking shitstorm. Legal's going to shit a brick. It's going to be this huge goddamn... Like, he was like losing his mind. So I was like, okay, I guess this guy's not joking around. So anyways, I thought you'd get kick out of that. How are you doing today, sir?
You know, I'm doing all right. You know, it was pretty exciting. I had a pretty big tech company reach out to me earlier in the week. Wanting to interview for what I think is actually a very, very cool concept. You may have seen this, Tuck, and people of the collective, that there are new concept stores that you walk in, it knows, you know, who you are because it's using like an FC, and then you can grab anything off the shelf. It just adds it to your cart, and when you walk out, you pay for it.
Like,
and so essentially,
Amazon does that a lot, right?
Yeah, and so I'd be doing that, but helping like retail, you know, businesses try to like establish this stuff and figure out like, how are you different from this? Like, how is a hardware store any different than a grocery store, and how we track and do this stuff. And so, I mean, it's still like a sales gig, but it's very like, everything is transformational. Every conversation is going to be like going from night to day or day to night. And I really, really love that. So I'm hoping that, you know, it works out. It was the hiring manager, I guess, came across my resume and told the recruiter to reach out to me. So we'll see if anything comes of that. But the big news, Kenobi finale. Oh man.
So don't ruin anything, but I'm pretty sure, is that the episode where, and I quote, something hot that's familiar to one of the characters is used by one to the other?
I don't know what you mean by that.
I don't want to spoil it, so I don't know if I want to say anything.
All right. Well then, you know, spoiler free, of course, guys. I'm never going to ruin it for you.
This is how we operate.
You know, until next week's episode, because, you know, hey, you have a week to watch it, and you know,
and if not, then whose fault is that? Certainly not ours. Right?
Yeah. So, I'll give you my biggest disappointments at first. Way too short for a finale, especially because I thought I had saw something where they greenlit season 2. I guess that was fake news. I know they're talking about it, but if this was the true Kenobi finale, it was only 50 minutes long. I think the first episode was longer than the last episode. Heck, the Miss Marvel episode that came out this week, that's just like a middle of the season episode.
Down the pack.
Yeah, it was only 5 minutes shorter than the finale for Kenobi.
Huh.
So I did not like that. I felt like you could have fleshed out more, given us more, especially if this is the last time we see Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan. So I didn't like that.
Is there? Wait, there's a second season, right?
No, they have not greenlit anything.
Oh,
it's just
this could be like an anthology season, right? Where it's just like, this is just it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
That'd be wild.
And so that's why I'm disappointed. It's like, hey, this, but I swear to everything, I had read something like 2 months ago that the reviews were or not 2 months ago, it had been like a month ago,
right?
That the reviews were so high for Kenobi that they altered the final episode to leave it open for a second season. But now I can't find anything about it, so I must have just fever dreamed it. So that's my only complaint. But I'll tell you this though. Remember last week when we talked and I was like, dude, Vader, you get to see the power,
right, and his full glory, yeah.
The same could be said of Obi-Wan in this episode.
Oh, he gets it back.
Holy crap. That dude, when he wants to be a badass, he is powerful. And I've always had this thing, because Obi-Wan, I think, is rated as like a top 5 most powerful of all time Jedi.
Sure.
In Star
By whatever
Wars lore.
metric the person at Wikipedia made up.
Exactly. But at the same time, it's like, well, I never saw it with Alec Guinness in episode 4.
Of course not, because he's 80 years old.
But episodes 1 through 3, I didn't really see it. I just saw him as a good Jedi, not like Yoda or Mace Windu powerful.
Sure.
So it was great that we got to see that. 2 fantastic cameos at the end, so that was pretty cool. And then I'll say finally, they did a great tie-in with a Clone Wars Darth Vader fight and correlated it into this.
Oh,
so
right.
People that have watched the Clone Wars can maybe read into that.
I think I know.
I want to say.
I think I actually know what you're talking about.
Potentially. Yeah, I think it was in Rebels that the actual fight happened with Vader, but same concept had happened with the emotion, seeing him. Oh man, it was so great. You get a little bit of that in this final episode. And just overall, I was very pleased. It was just too short for me. Sure. Way too short. Yeah. My other complaints, though, about the whole the Inquisitors and the overacting, that totally paid off. Absolutely made sense. Yeah, it was great. I now understand why one particular actress acted like Nick Cage and just went way over the top all the time. It makes sense in the story, so I was cool with it.
For it. Okay.
Yep. They definitely did a tie-in because they're coming out with an Andor series that's supposed to follow Cassian from Rogue One.
Oh God.
Well, I thought you liked Rogue One.
I did, but I don't care about the I don't care about the characters. It was just an engaging story. Like this is like
it's going to be more of that story.
But I don't care. Like the reason why Rogue One works so well is it's just because like none of these characters really matter, right? It's just telling an engrossing war story in like a one section at a time. I don't need to watch 17 hours of other series to completely understand what the hell's going on.
For people that like Star Wars, though, I'm excited for it because I have always wondered, how did the rebellion become the rebellion? Like, how did we get from, like, the end of episode 3, where it's like, maybe we're kind of seeing what
scrappy,
pushed them to it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we go to Rogue One, where it's basically, hours before A New Hope. So we never actually see that build up. You get to see a little bit of it in Kenobi, and so I'm hoping one of the characters in Kenobi is going to be over in Andor, and we get to see the continued growth of the rebellion, because I think that would be interesting. How did they actually come to? So overall, very happy. And then, of course, guys, the boys. It's
still
I got no words.
Coach that I'm dating still, if you can also believe that, is also getting close to borderline getting close for Charlotte records on that as well. She is big into the boys as well. So I got some catching up to do so we can watch it together. Even though I'm not sure, like, I don't know. I don't know if that's a show I want to watch with someone I'm dating, right? It's pretty aggressive.
It's very aggressive, but I don't know. I think you'd have fun watching it with her.
She's kind of an intense person like me, right? Like she has a very intense personality. So I don't know. We'll see.
Well, guys, thanks for tuning in. And Brews and Builds is our deck tech series. Since we've conquered our path to 32 and the 12 themes of EDH decks, we have moved on to a segment called Say Yes to the Deck. And this will comprise of one of our hosts building a deck specifically geared towards the playstyle for the other, but still challenging somewhat how they play EDH. At the end, we're going to see if they say yes to the deck, but of course, in the heart of Brews and Builds is still here. But guys, this will have a twist, which we'll get to in a bit.
Insane.
So we described the brewing of decks similar to how beer is brewed. So we broke this down into 4 different categories. The first one's rampant setting your board state. We call that grains.
And grains are the foundation of every beer, then closed with base malts and specialty malts, usually in a 60-40 ratio. This helps with the color, the taste, and most importantly, the alcohol content of a beer. Decks always need ways to grow, stabilize, and ramp into your bigger threats. And just like a grain profile, they're usually a mix of staples and specialty cards.
How does your board interact with all of your opponents? We call that hops.
And hops give the beer its patented bitter and herbal floral flavors. They grow in a variety of strands and help distinguish subcategories, like this IPA, from Maine Beer Company. The Little Whale Boat. It's delicious, and I just picked this up today. Our hub choices help clear and interact with the board so your deck can ultimately do what it wants.
How does the deck actually close out or win? We call that yeast.
And yeast are living microorganisms that eat the sugar from the grain and poop out alcohol and CO2. It adds the alcohol content and the carbonation. Without yeast, you'd be drinking flat sugar water. And without yeast cards, your deck would meet the goal of actually winning the game.
And then we have a section that's kind of fun. It's going to be a lot more relevant with these next couple decks we're doing. Sometimes you just have cards that don't really fit. We like to call those spice.
I would say that the entire deck could fall into this category, but spices and other additives help separate a normal stock beer from a specialty one. It could be the pepper that turns the stout into a jalapeno stout, or the addition of even more hops that turns this into a double dry hopped hazy double IPA. Not every deck has something that makes it pop, but if it does, is where we generally talk about it.
And then to cap it off, guys, we have a bottle capping, which it's going to be the deck's recipients' 3 cuts and recommendations to the deck around, well, let's just say for this month it's on a budget. Just the only restriction is no mana only lands. So without further ado, let's get brewing. Hey guys, I believe it's July, and we wanted to do something a little different because Santa can't keep his fat ass out of it. He already has October through December, even a little bit of January.
Yeah, right.
He just needs the summer as well. So we're doing a gift exchange, and we're doing so off of concept of one of our Discord mods, Marketing Ross, has come up with.
Wait, I'm sorry. Who? That's not his real name.
Oh, that is absolutely his real name. It's not Rocketing Moss.
It's Rocketing Moss. It's Rocketing Moss is who we're talking about here.
So he came up with this concept, a dollar deck. No. Not where every card's $1. Not where the average cost of your non-land cards is $1.
Correct.
The entire deck, excluding commander and basic lands, which I did a little bit of loophole with.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of.
Do not go towards the budget.
Was more in the spirit of the competition than by the law of it on the lands.
Yeah. And then also, it just needs to be the cheapest available copy. So, if you got a really cool Judge promo, but the non-Judge promos, cost significantly less, you go off of that lower number.
Sure.
So I went ahead and built a deck for BigTuck. So what kind of deck did BigTuck receive? Well, guys, he loves combat. That's all we hear. Oh, I just like to be in the red zone. I just love to be in combat. So I thought, let's go Voltron Mutate. Why not?
Sure.
One challenge with this, though, is the access to the mana accelerators. So we had to go super, super low on the CMC with only a handful of cards costing more than 3 CMC. And the best things in world come in pennies. Leveraging draft chaff non-humans that are usually completely unplayable for their evasion, though, to get our commander, Spacegodzilla, through for damage. Now, the key to this deck is saving certain creatures to have targets for Spacegodzilla when you mutate him from the command zone or graveyard, but still playing enough to deter your opponents from bashing face every time. So, BigTuck, why don't you read Spacegodzilla and I guess its actual name, Barocos, Apex of Forever.
Sure.
Yeah, why don't you read who this guy is and then give me your impression of the deck that I built.
So, Bio-Quartz Spacegodzilla, aka Barocos Apex of Power, is a Sultai commander, of which I don't usually have that many of, so I kind of like that. 2 colorless, black, a green, and a blue for a 6/6 trampler. That's a mythic for 64 cents. It's a legendary creature, Nightmare Beast Elemental, which I don't think is relevant in any of the cards that I looked through. It also has Mutate. So 2 colorless, a hybrid Dimir, and green. So my understanding, do we want to get into the Mutate mechanic? I don't really want to go into it. People can just figure it out.
Well, I mean, no, it needs to be explained because I even had to look it up.
Okay.
So
I'll let you do it then.
Yeah, it's really not complicated, guys. I don't know why Tuck's being a baby. You can only mutate Bio-Quartz Spacegodzilla onto a non-human creature. And basically, whichever card is quote unquote on top is the card. And so it would have its name and its power and toughness and creature types, but it would have all the abilities of all the cards quote unquote underneath. So an example, you have a Birds of Paradise. If you mutate Bio-Quartz Spacegodzilla on top of it, you now have a 6/6 trample flyer because Birds has flying, and you could tap Bio-Quartz Spacegodzilla to add a mana. Versus if you did Bio-Quartz Spacegodzilla underneath Birds of Paradise, you have a 0/1 flyer trample, and that's it. And it could tap for a mana.
Correct. So, the mutate cost is there. It has trample, but really interestingly, it also has, you may cast Barocos or Space. I love how they call it Bio-Quartz in the thing, and then they don't in the flavor. It's like, just choose one or the other. You may cast Barocos Apex of Forever from your graveyard using its mutate ability. So this deck definitely hit. I think it hit the nail on the head. And you paved the ground so I could stand on the shoulders of giants, because I'm just about done with yours, and there is a shockingly low amount of cards that cost a cent. There's a shockingly low amount of cards that cost 2 cents. And when I first started building it, I was like, oh, just like conceptually, right? I was like, a 10-cent card isn't going to be that big of a spend. No. A 10-cent card takes up a tenth of the budget effectively, right? Like, that's a lot. So I like the fact that there's a lot of fun cards in here where it's like creatures you normally wouldn't play that kind of have weird abilities that are going to be like really impactful at different parts of the game. I like that a lot. I think with access to green, you get to cheese in a fair amount of ramp, more so than you would in a lot of different colors, which I think is really cool. And I don't know, like it's like I said, there's a fine amount of cards you can use here, but like it looks functional, which I think is a very strange thing to say, right?
Yeah, well, and I think to give the collective some perspective, I've won 2 games out of 3 with
you
this
actually
deck.
you've gotten to play it more than once. Wow.
Yep.
So is it just like the waiting game and then you just blast in with Bio-Quartz?
Yeah, so essentially, I mean, you're always doing your game plan.
Right.
It's just people don't know what to expect from your deck, and this deck, so this is the thing across all these dollar decks that Marketing Ross has created, and because he's built multiple.
Right.
They all run slow because we have to go for higher CMC cards that are usually bad because they're cheaper financially.
Right.
And I do think people recognize that, and it's more of, I can deal with you later, but I need to deal with the Duretti player, or I need to deal with the Atraxa player first. So you just kind of hang under the radar. And a lot of the cards in here sneak up on people. They don't think they're that good. And it turns out you end up winning the game with them. So surprisingly, the deck is very competitive as long as you are not like public enemy number 1. I don't think this deck could survive a public enemy number 1. But man, once you kind of have your stuff going, you become real threatening.
Well, and evidently Tapped Out agrees with you because it's rated this as a 68% competitive deck. So it's rating this as 6 out of 10.
Hilarious. Spoiler, guys. The other 2 episodes of the month, because we've got 5 Saturdays this month, me and Tuck are also building just fictional decks for each other, and I did a CEDH build for Tuck. I don't know if you've looked at it. The CEDH build that has consistently, when I goldfish it, wins on like turn 6, is only rated a 28% competitive. Yet this dollar deck is like a 78%. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's so stupid.
Crazy.
But if you look through,
it's so dumb.
If you look through some of the stats, first off, the color pie is pretty close considering that you have no mana fixing. Because there's no way, like there. I don't know about you, but non-basic lands of any varietal are just not an option, right?
No, it uses your budget. Why would I do that when a basic will do just fine?
Exactly, right? And like, I think this would be interesting when we play all 4, because a lot of people play like their land base is a lot of tapped, because that is how you build a budget land base. So I'd be interested to see, like, does this actually help us like move faster? So we got that there.
Oh, interesting.
I'm interested in that. The curve is insane. 2.44 knocked it out of the park there.
Yeah.
And again, it's all 2s and 3s and some 4, like 2 4s and a 5. You know what I mean? So also unsurprisingly, 1 mythic, 14 uncommons, 51 commons. I don't think we're gonna see a lot of rares here. And just has like,
nope.
I think it ended up being like, I don't know. I'm really excited to play on when we stream for spoiler on the 11th of July, the week after Independence Day.
Yep.
We'll be featuring 4 of these decks.
Yeah, and I think the last thing, to talk about budget, guys. So right now, TCG player for the entire deck is like, hey, you could minus the basic lands, because I did kind of cheat by doing snow covered.
Foils,
it's like, hey, you can build this deck for like $2 to $2.50, but then literally, if you go and you're like, give me the cheapest version of every card, I don't care heavy plate or not. I think the deck actually ended up being about, it was initially like 70 cents, 78 cents. I think it might be like up to 96 cents now, because I think some cards have quote unquote gone up in price, meaning from a penny to 2 pennies.
Someone's tracking the sales on TCG player, and they got you. They were like, oh no, he's done them twice. There's 2 of these cards sold straight through the roof.
All right. Well, let's get into this, guys. And before we start with the grain section, we would really, really appreciate it if you enjoy our content, especially now that we're doing this live broadcasting on Twitch for all of our podcast episodes as soon as we have our little overlays developed by our amazing artists. Go to our Patreon, patreon.com/cmdtower. We have 4 different tiers. Really, anything you guys could do would be a massive, massive help. Part of that money goes to helping Tuck and I go to Magic events, travel across the country, so that way we can hang out with you guys, play games with you guys. I know we're going to be doing Magic 30 in Vegas. We're doing Magic 30 in Charlotte. This also allows us to do, I think we're going to do a little hide and seek hunting game in Vegas. Go hide some CMD Tower merchandise around the city and see if you guys can go find it. I think Gavin did that. I think we're a little bit more popular than him, so I think we'll get a little bit. We're
gonna have way more engagement.
But, anything you guys could do, seriously, it starts at $1, goes to $5, $15, $25, and there are a bunch of rewards in it for you guys, whether it's actual merch or abilities to be on our stream, which you guys will have saw it this last Monday.
Right.
We had Zach, one of our great, long-standing Patreons, actually stream with Bosch and Roll and BigTuck and another guest on our Twitch channel. So lots of opportunities. Anything you could do would be great.
I also love how now we have to play like 2 temporalities, right? Because we're recording this now, but we also have to think about when this comes out. So love it. Just can't make it easy for us.
So Tuck, let's start with the grains. How do you want to do this? Do you want me to start, or do you want to start?
Oh, I understand this as this is my deck, right? So I think I start on this.
Hey, and all you, man. This just allows me, if you try to match up on some of my cards, I can maybe switch them.
You can swap them out. Okay, so I want to start off first. This is maybe the best 2-drop, 2-cent card in the deck. And if this was a format, I think this is pretty much going to have to be like a standard, right? If not a staple.
Is this an artifact by chance?
It might be an artifact creature.
Oh, no.
Nope. Okay. Campus Guide. And the funny part is we're talking about like blowout cards. The funny part is like these cards are stone cold unplayable any other way, right? But for me, 2 colorless get you an artifact creature golem. That's a 2/1, 2 cents from Strixhaven. When it enters the battlefield, may search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, then shuffle and put that card on top. I think anything that's going to tutor, that's going to help you set up for later turns, that's going to give you a shuffle effect, any sort of deck thinning is going to be so critical because like all the draw spells that are good and efficient cost like 50 cents, which is unplayable, right? So I think cards like this that get you that value, help do your mana fixing, even if it is a little slow. We're not going to be playing any top deck manipulation in this deck or in any of these decks, right? So it's like the difference to hand to the top of the library is much more meaningless in this sort of format.
And the thing I like about it is, turns like 1 through 4, this is a slam dunk.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So
Thank you. I get a land. But beyond turn 5, I think some people are like, well, I don't want to have my next turn's draw be a land.
Right.
Guys, it's a May effect.
Yes.
This still has a purpose because it's a golem, so you can mutate on top of it. So even late game, this is a body for Space Godzilla. And something we didn't really talk about, Tuck, the importance of having as many mutate options for Space Godzilla. It's because I looked at this as, mutate from the graveyard gets around command tax.
Right, exactly.
As many ways as we can avoid extra mana costs in this budget deck, the better. And, this serves a purpose early game for ramp and late game for bash and face. So, Great card.
Absolutely. All right, what do you got for your number one?
So, my number one, I think this card is the best card in the deck. It's a pity.
And this isn't. Okay.
It's a penny card, and the reason I like it is because in this dollar world that we're living in, it accomplishes the same thing, no matter which way you shake it. Rift Sower.
Oh yes. This was an interesting one.
So, 2 colorless green creature, elf, druid. It's a common. It's a 1/3. Like I said, guys, for a penny, and it taps to add 1 mana of any color. You'd maybe ask, okay, I get it. The cards are overcosted. So we get it, Mr. Combo. But no, guys. Suspend 2 for a single green. So whether you paid 3 mana on turn 3 for it, or 1 mana turn 1, turn 3, you're getting this card. Or turn 4, you're getting to be able to do this card. And now you got a mana rock on a body, once again, that you can mutate on if at a later time you don't need the mana. You got a target for Spacegodzilla. I think this is a very smart card for this type of restrictive build.
100%, especially for a penny, right? Like, this card is way better than Campus Guide, which is double the price, if you will. And all of the, like, I was looking in, like, any ramp card that's a colorless and something else is like 30 cents, right? Unplayable. Stone cold unplayable on any of these decks.
Yep, absolutely. All right, Tuck, give us your next grain.
So this is another one that is also, I think this is another slam dunk for the ramp package, which you, again, may or may not need. This one also made it into your deck, Mr. Combo. This is a straight artifact that is just gas in here. It costs 3 cents, and it's from Kamigawa.
Oh, yeah, it is.
3,
2, 1.
Ecologist Terrarium. It's like this is a staple. This is a $1 deck staple, right? There's no way.
Yep.
Two colorless for an artifact. When it enters the battlefield, you may search a library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. And then also, it has another ability. Mr. Combo, take it away.
Yep. 2 colorless tap, sack the terrarium, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, but you can only do this as a sorcery.
And people are going to say, oh, but it goes to the hand. It's not real ramp. Well, guess what, ding dongs? It's 3 cents. This is as good as ramp as you can get, right? Deck thinning, get the shuffle, plays out something for later. We don't have the card space to be drawing cards to be like, I need to get another land, right? So like 1 to the hand is so much better than just chancing off a draw, right?
Well, and I think we just need to rephrase it, Tuck. We're not ramping. We're smoothing out our land drops.
Fair point.
So, this is a great, because you're not ever going to really ramp in a dollar budget deck. I mean, I kind of got around it with my Rift Sower, and, there's a couple others that actually do tap to bring additional mana, but most of the land-specific things do not bring it out to the battlefield. They're always going to be to hand. So think of your dollar deck as not so much I'm trying to ramp, meaning accelerate my land drops beyond the 1 per turn. It's more of I'm always ensuring that I always have a land to play.
Exactly.
And that +1/+1 counter Tuck. So I've gotten to play this card when I did your decks. And I got to play this when I did draft with Duffman and the crew a month ago. This card claps. It does great because it's 2 mana. Let me get a mana to hand. And then at any point, on sorcery speed, Spacegodzilla, you're out. Let's make you a little bit bigger.
A little bit bigger. And I think
just
that's like
a smidge.
And like all the removal in here is like you deal 2 damage divided amongst 4 different targets, right? Or 3 different targets. So like that's also instrumental in getting like some of these lower the powered creatures still alive on the board.
Yep. All right. Well, my last one, it's also an artifact equipment. This one's coming in at 4 pennies, but it's modal. It helps us grain and in the yeast package. But we got it here for the grain. Gilded Pinions. Amazing card.
It's so good.
2 colorless artifact equipment. I've also got to see this card played, and it claps.
Yeah.
When it ETBs, creative treasure token. So essentially, this thing only costs 1 mana.
Right.
Equip 2. Equipped creature has flying. This is amazing.
It's incredible.
The other thing that I've noticed, Tuck, with a dollar deck, as much as you can kind of chestnut away mana for later turns, the better. So treasures are worth their weight in gold.
Yes.
Because then it's like, oh my gosh, I drew this 8-drop. Well, I know it's not in this deck, but oh gosh, Spacegodzilla. Oh man, I can now get Spacegodzilla out on turn 4 instead of just this being a land to hand, and then I'm still waiting till turn 5. So this card's amazing, and the flying is just extra bonus.
It's so good. There's so many. That was something that I struggled with, and even looking at your deck, Wink, and also in the cuts and ads section here. There's so little. Like most of the evasion in this is like a one-time use, right? Like in this price range. So just having something that's repeatable and kind of replaces itself it's like bonkers, right? This is just another staple in this price range. It's so stupid.
All right, but. I will say, though, 4 pennies, I mean, it's 4% of our budget.
And I think it's worth it. I think it's worth every
I do
one,
too.
Right?
I'd say this, Tuck, if it was play it for 3, equip for 3, and the same effects, that's where it's like, I don't know, at 4 pennies if it's worth that amount of the budget. But the fact that it's 2/2 and you net a mana and you net flying, it's like, all right.
Yeah, it's really,
well,
really
hey,
good.
Why don't you take us home with the rest of your grain section?
So I think combat is going to be king here. And specifically, I think it's going to be commander combat because you can choose whatever commander you want. And I just think that everyone's going to be gunning for bashing people as fast as they can with their commanders because I'm not really sure how else you win in this range, right? It just so happens to be that way. So in my opinion, being able to distract another commander and get something off of it is really strong. So Psychic Impetus, I was shocked when that was a sense, right? 1 cent. 2 colorless and a blue for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature. Enchant creature gets +2/+2 and is goaded, meaning it attacks each combat Fable, attacks a player other than you, Fable. And then whenever it attacks, you scry 2, right? We've talked a lot about things that go to the top of the, like, this is a good counterpiece to the campus guide, right? Late game, you play the campus guide, you even search for it because you're like, okay, worst case scenario, I need the land, but maybe there's something better that's going to come around and attack. So this sort of filtering is going to be critical in a deck like this. So, and worst case scenario, which you never want to do, you can always just put it on Spacegodzilla if it's down to you and one more player. And then now he's an 8/8, makes it a lot scarier than a 6/6, right?
I'll be honest, that's why it's in the deck.
To put it on Spacegodzilla?
Yep. I genuinely, like, the goated piece, I would only do if there was truly a terrifying creature out there that is just like, oh my, I can't deal with this.
I can't beat
Mainly
this.
because we are doing Voltron, and Voltron's very difficult to do.
Sure.
And you have to just keep bashing into someone. So as much as we can buff our Spacegodzilla, great. But I loved this in here because, Tuck, if you're not attacking every single turn, you're doing something wrong.
Yep.
And if you can get the Scry 2 every single turn, so you know next turn exactly what you're getting, or thank God I didn't get those 2 cards, that's just going to help you that much more.
Absolutely.
I'm kind of surprised you didn't talk about Treasure Trove.
That one was definitely on the list. There's a couple other ones I was shocked, like Yavimaya Elder being Ascent and being able to be playable is unreal. Like, that's another one that's amazing. Your favorite classic Howling Golem for 2 cents does a lot of work in this deck. So
you have to have it.
You have to have it.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to wrap up the grain section. And before we head over to our next group, we'd love you guys to go check out our Etsy store. If you go to Etsy.com, just type in CMD Tower. You're going to find our amazing store on there with our foil playmat, our different tokens, all the accoutrement that you need to enhance your gaming experience. Once again, just like our great patron community, we use all of those funds, to continue to get you guys new merch and stuff that are part of the patron rewards, but also to be able to help us do giveaways, do collaborations like we did with Mr. Bevers and their charity stream, giving away a foil playmat. We can only do that if you guys go out and purchase the stuff. So anything you can do to help, Etsy.com, just type in CMD Tower. Now we're going to head over to that hop section. Chuck, I'll kick this off with the whole reason we got snow-covered lands. The only reason. Come on, Ice High Troll.
Go.
Come on, 2 colorless green. It's a pity. It's a 2/3 snow creature troll warrior. It's a common. Snow. So guys, basically on certain snow cards, if you're not familiar, instead of showing a mana symbol, they actually show a snow symbol. So it has to come from a snow source. And it states, Snow. Ice High Troll gets +2/+0 and gains indestructible until end of turn. Tap it. I like this in the hop section because we're going to throw Spacegodzilla on top of this guy. And now we kind of have a pseudo... we get 50% heroic intervention for 2 mana on each turn.
Yeah,
and in theory, Spacegodzilla would have already attacked, so he would have been tapped anyways. It's not like you're saving it for a blocker. So it's like, who really cares? But then you can even do it the flip side. Oh, I got trample on my commander. I might be able to just kill you. I'll dump 8 mana, give him +8. And let's see what happens.
I read this. The first time I read this, it was like, okay, this card's out. And then I actually thought about it more. I was like, wait a minute. You slap. Yeah. And then I went through that exact same process, right? Of like, actually, this card's really good.
Yep.
Arguably a yeast card, I would say, almost, right? Like.
Yeah. So here was my thought. In the games that I played, Tuck, not to cut you off, I never got to like 10, 12, 15 lands. That
really?
Just never happened. Yeah. So to me, that's more of the modal upside of the card. The upside is it could be a yeast card, but at its core, the reason we have it here is just to protect Space Godzilla since we can't afford Lightning Greaves or Swiftfoot Boots.
Absolutely. No, I like it's a card that takes you a second to think through. I do think it's silly that it's not silly. It's just funny that this is one card and then now all the lands have to be snow covered just in case. So it's
well, hey, now you have all these foil snow lands.
I know, right? So when but like, what am I gonna do? Take this deck apart, like strip it for pieces? I'm definitely taking it to Vegas. I can tell you that much.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
All right, Tuck, give us your first hop card.
So removal is the hardest thing to find in this. Like even in the colors I was playing in, it's like even your Precious Murder is 3 cents, right? That's what, a third? It's like, because I know I was waiting for you to slam that in here, right? And you kind of did in a different sense, which I like a lot, the way you went with. But the fact that there's a spell that you could do at instant speed that's green that also buffs up your commander is insane. Like, and that card is bum Ancient Animus. This card is an all-star in here. This might be like top 5 in my opinion, right? So colorless and a green for an instant. Put a 1/1 counter on target creature control if it's legendary. Spoiler alert, it will be. Then it fights target creature and opponent's controls. Just the mere fact that Bio-Quartz Spacegodzilla is a 6/6 is insane. Like, I don't think I've seen another card in all of my looking through that is anywhere close to that. Maybe like a 4/4 flyer for 8 or something like that. So for me, this is like the perfect way, right? You remove the top threat, you build up your boy, and then now that's one less threat they have to worry about, right? This is like the premier creature removal I think I've seen in all the research I've done on this.
Hey Tuck, you want to take a guess at something?
This
card claps. I've played it multiple times.
Okay, I was just gonna ask. Like, it has to be good, right?
No, it works great. And I think, guys, you keep seeing these like, put a single +1/+1 counter on target creature,
right?
And yes, we have to do that because it's budget. But I think there's some importance to that. Just 1/+1 counter on Space Godzilla takes it from a 4-turn clock to a 3-turn clock.
Exactly.
On killing your opponents. Just getting him to 7 power is so huge. Mm-hmm. And I love this card because I'll actually do this on my turn and then got that blocker. Let's go ahead and fight. Sure. I'll go ahead and kill it, and then I'll come in for the damage that I need to. It's absolutely amazing. Like, and what's funny, Tuck, I actually had this on my list, but then I forgot. I was like, Icehide Troll. I have to talk about that. So I actually replaced it with Icehide. So it worked out perfect.
Perfect. All right, what is your second
one?
All
right, guys. It's the murder. The murder replacement.
Oh, sure, yeah.
We're going Reckless Spite.
What? Oh, that one. There's 2. You got 2. You tuned me.
Oh, I was just looking at that one.
This one was on my list.
This was on my list. Murder.
This one was on my list to talk about as well.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, it was. This card's insane.
Oh, okay. Colorless black instant. It's a common for 2 pennies. Destroy 2 target non-black creatures. But Tuck, what is the pittance you must pay for that?
You got to pay your 5 life for it, right? Which is. Does it matter in this format? I don't think it does, right?
No.
You're gonna be like people are gonna come in with 2/1/1,
especially at $1. 2 creatures gone for 5 life. All right.
Yeah, it's insane. This one's really strong. I thought this was a very. There was a time and place when this was being printed in Commander precons where I was like, this is actually kind of playable. But the problem is like when you have things like Hero's Downfall for 40 cents, this looks a lot less appealing. But in this thing where it's like 2 cents for a 2-for-1, sure, I don't care. 5 life, that doesn't matter. Like, I'm going to be ahead anyway.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, some people might say the whole non-black thing. Oh, well. If it's like the creatures you need to get rid of are black, that's just you're in a budget deck. What are you
gonna do, right? Like someone else will deal with them. If they're truly a threat, someone else at the table will deal with them, right? Because they sure as shit know that you are not going to be able to do it.
Well, why don't you give us your last hop card?
Okay, so my last hop card is. Wait, no, I got 2 more.
I thought you just. Oh, wait, what?
I did Ancient Animist, and then this one was going.
Yeah,
to be
I thought you said.
It was going to be on my list.
I thought you said Reckless Spite was on it.
No.
I hate you.
It was on my mental list, and then I switched it for something else. which I think is even better, which we'll get to. But this one is, we talked about, we're having to replace cards for one for the other. I don't think this is a bad replacement. And I think in the right deck, this card is actually really good for a sense. It's one of the few enchantment auras we have in here, right? That one is Shielding Plaques. So 2 colorless, Simic hybrid, that's blue-green, for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature, when it enters the battlefield, draw a card, which is in itself insane for a cent. And then also, enchanted creature can't be the target of spells or abilities your opponents control. So effectively gives it hexproof, which I don't know why they didn't just say hexproof, but what do I know? Right? I don't design this card. So for me, this is another just like staple in this sort of build, right? For Ascent, it replaces itself and it's gonna take away the chance for someone to cast one of the 3 pieces of removal they have to get rid of the commander, which is going to be the biggest threat at the table, full stop.
Yep, you said everything perfect. I like that it replaces itself. It gets us card draw in our budget, card draw. Card replacement.
Yeah.
And the protection for our commander, but still allowing us to use mutate, because maybe you have shielding plaques on your howling golem, and then you can still mutate
Slap
on top
of it.
So
yeah,
I think it does a lot of really good things. All right. My final one is the most overprinted bulk card that they slam into as many products as possible, but it's probably one of the best budget universal removal cards in existence. Universal Solvent.
Oh, God, this card.
You have to have this in here. Colorless artifact for a penny. 7 mana, it's a lot. Tap, sack it, destroy target permanent. It gives you one of your few ways to deal with anything. Got a troublesome planeswalker? God, that would suck. But hey, you got an answer. You got a troublesome enchantment. We have some enchantment removal, but you can get rid of it. A land, you can get rid of it. This fills a lot of slots. It is overcosted, but damn, it does a good job.
I'm gonna be so interested to see what these are like against each other, right? Because I didn't even think about planeswalkers. I think I built mine. The one I built for you is in the dollar deck meta, right? I was like, okay, we probably don't need to worry about too many planeswalkers. There's probably not gonna be a lot of heuristic studies we need to worry about as well. But still, like, it's kind of the same equivalent, in my opinion, as like you have to have a Nev's Disc or an O-Stone in decks that don't have big board wipe options, right? Like to deal with like a mono black deck doesn't have a ton of ways to deal with enchantments and planeswalkers and so on and so forth. So I think that's like this economy's version of it.
Yeah, and if you think about it though, you might not you'll probably play this against, I would say this could compete with pre-con level decks, maybe slightly upgraded. And so you're gonna come across planeswalkers and shit you can't deal with. So this at least gives you a single out. If someone has shut it down, or for all you know, maybe you got Darksteel Mutation, and it's like, okay, what do I do now? At least you have something to deal with it.
Absolutely.
All right, Tuck, bring us home. What's your final hop?
I drafted so many versions of this card at Baldur's Gate pre-releases, and I think this card is a severely slept-on card in any format. And that one is Runaway Together. This card is really, really good. 1 colorless and a blue for an instant. Choose 2 target creatures controlled by different players. Return those creatures to their owner's hands. Efficiency. It's a 2-for-1, right? The only downside is, well, you can't do 2 creatures that people control. Okay, fair point, I suppose. But you can, if someone's attacking someone else, okay, I'm going to bounce another strong creature you have and remove a troublesome blocker for someone else, right? And on top of that, this is like a great protection spell, right? Someone's about to murder or whatever, Spacegodzilla, be like, all right, well, because of that, I'm going to keep my commander so I don't have to recast him out of the command zone, and you're going to lose your commander as well. So, like, in my opinion, it cuts across like any situation in the hop category that we'd be looking for.
And Tuck, something not to sleep on. I'm 90% sure Runaway Together and the way Mutate works, if you bounce Space Quartz and it's mutated onto something, you get the mutated card as well back to hand.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right.
The whole stack is coming with you. The only thing that wouldn't come would be, obviously, your equipment, your auras, that type of stuff's just going to fall off. But yeah, because it's looked at as one creature.
Exactly.
So anything that it's mutated onto, you're going to get that back as well. So it kind of actually does a 2-for-1 protection for you. Right. Or I guess a 3-for-1 protects 2 of your creatures and gets rid of an opponent's, potentially. So yeah, this thing is awesome. 3 pennies, I struggled, but I was like, instant speed, 2 mana. I think it's worth it.
Yeah, I think it's insanely strong. I mean, would you play this in normal?
Probably not.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I've seen
I got better, more expensive ways to do
Cyclonic Rift for 2 mana, right? Like it's a 2 mana card.
There you go. Well, guys, that's going to wrap up the hot profile. And before we head over to our fun Win Now section, we would love you guys to go check out abyssproxyshop.com. If you guys could use code CMD Tower, we'd really appreciate it. It'll actually get you 10% off your order. Plus, they do help the channel out with giveaways. Like I'm actually got sitting in front of me, the aforementioned Murder. We're going to be giving all of these away on our July 11th stream. And they even did some cool CMD Tower backs for us. So
nice.
Anything you could do would be great. If you're looking for playtests or proxies of your expensive cards, we always operate here at CMD Tower off of the Magic Online mindset. If you own a single copy of the card, you can run it in as many card decks as you want. So go get a $3 to $5 proxy for your $20 Ristic Study or your $40 Scalding Tarn. Or just go pay $3-4
or your $400 Taiga.
Yeah, whatever you go. So abyssproxyshop.com, code CMD Tower. Now we're going to head over to how this deck claps and wins with yeast.
Okay.
Tuck, I think this is going to be you, and I'm going to be so curious what you pick.
I think there's 2 that are insane. I think that there's one that I like, and it was just shocked that it's so cheap. And that one, I'm going to start with that one, which is, this is a card that we have talked about multiple times. I think we ended up cutting it quite a bit for better options. But to me, this is one of the few swords you can actually afford in this build.
Yeah.
And that one we were talking about, our boy Hero's Blade. Insane that this is Ascent. 2 colorless for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +3/+2. Whenever a legendary creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may attach Hero's Blade to it and then equip 4. I mean, what more do you want, right? Like, talking about clocks and counters and that sort of thing. So if you get 2 counters on Spacegodzilla, which is absolutely possible, you get, so it's a 2-turn clock there, right? He's gonna get killed. No one's gonna blow this up. You could bring it back in. You mutate him off. I think this card is kind of insane. Now I'm trying to figure out the price for it. Is this the most expensive one at 5 cents?
So it's really hard because I actually did do a little screenshot, send it over to Tuck, like, hey, at the time, here's what this deck costs.
Yeah.
Now, if you go to TCG Player, the cheapest copy is 10 cents.
Oh.
So something's causing it to actually go up in price. I mean, we're talking pennies here, but still. Right.
I used to go up in price, was like, oh my God, that's $15 more than I paid for it. Now it's 4 cents. It's 4 cents more. This card's unplayable.
I can't afford it. But this card is such an amazing card in this deck because technically Spacegodzilla does enter the battlefield with Mutate. Hero's Blade, you will never pay that equip cost. It is always attaching for free. So 2 mana to always give your commander +3/+2 is almost like an Anthem effect. That's brilliant.
It's awesome. Like the equip cost of 4 is like, okay, whatever, but that's why this card costs 5 cents, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever it ends up.
All right. So I think this is probably one of the best cards in the deck because it's always going to give your commander +5/+5 at a minimum.
Wait.
It's an instant speed green card from Neon Dynasty. 3 pennies, 3, 2, 1.
Boon of Besiju!
Oh, man. Colorless green, instant, and this will boom your opponent.
Yes.
Target creature gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the greatest mana value among permanents you control. Untap it. Woof.
It's unreal. And it has trample. It's an instant speed.
Yeah.
So, like, I think if this was like the unbudget version of this, you would want to run like Berserk, some of those other cards that are like those big, but like for 3 cents or whatever, it's like effectively the same thing, right? It close to doubles his power, untaps him for the blocker. No one's getting through that, right? Like, it's bonkers. It's so strong. Like, I think this one.
Yep.
Is this playable? Not really, right?
I think this is, No, it's playable because it doesn't actually care about the mana value of the permanent it's going to.
Oh,
it just cares about mana permanents of you control. So, I mean, you could think about it. Oh, yeah, you might be doing a go wide deck, but, Darksteel Forge is in the deck. That's 9 mana. You're giving something +9/+9 for 2? That's stupid.
1/0 deck this would actually be sneaky good, and I think Calamax. Because you can double it immediately, right? It's like your third or fourth.
And then you untap Calamax with Boon of Beseju's ability, so you can start doing his thing more. Oh, that's gross.
Yeah, right. I think I kind of like it. I think I kind of like it.
All right, Tuck, you got 2 left. Give us one of them. Or you got one left.
One left.
Give us your last one.
This is another one where I think this card illustrates how good a card we already discussed is. Just in the fact that it's a repeatable evasion effect. Now, you do have to worry about those people who are running all those budget bird removal spells because it's really going to put them right in their place. But I think Raven's Wing, again, is insane. 2 colorless for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature goes +1/+0, has flying, and is a bird in addition to its other types. Equipped 2. It's the same, like, this is what, I don't know if you noticed this, but in my research into this, there are so many cards that are just literally reprints, right, with a different name. And then when I was looking at yours, I think I came across 4 red spells that all did the exact same thing with different names. 4. No difference except for that. But I think in this format where we have no tutors, we have no way to filter outside of like maybe lands, basic lands at that, and like who knows about removal, we'll see. Just being able to have these repeatable effects that you're going to be able to draw into over and over again is so valuable, right? And again, the +1/+0, in my opinion, not negligible in here.
3-turn clock.
Done immediately, right? With evasion.
Mm-hmm.
It's just insane.
I think I don't want to toot my own horn, but I think the build that I've done is about the best you can do from a dollar budget restriction with Voltron in mind.
Yes.
I don't think I would like this if you're like going wide or even maybe going tall. Like you're probably trying to get other cheaper overcosted creatures in to be able to accomplish that. But we are only really trying to win with Spacegodzilla. So it's like, okay, I need to be able to give this guy evasion and make it to a 7 as often as I can.
Now, I haven't seen Rocketing Moss's build of any of his dollar decks. Are his very much like commander focused, like attacking with commanders, like not necessarily Voltron, but like the commanders, like the cornerstone?
I mean, I'm not going to say it's not the cornerstone, but I wouldn't say that if you remove his commander a couple times, he's like, well, I'm just done. Like, he doesn't ever do that.
Sure.
His dollar decks are really good.
Really?
They're really, really good. Yeah.
There's only that just blows my mind because, like, again, researching this, there's so few options, right?
Tuck, I won with his dollar deck when I went over to play on Juneteenth.
Really?
He gave me I think he had a mono white dollar deck. It's like that uncommon, I think it's like a human knight. I can't remember its effects specifically, so I'm doing a terrible job of describing this. But I won. I actually went undefeated that day. A little nudge for myself.
Yeah.
But dude, I'm telling you, people like, we're not saying dollar decks are so good that they can go against like highly tuned decks. Like, no, like that's not what we're trying to say.
Right.
I just think when you do the dollar deck challenge, Tuck, it forces you as a deck builder to not be lazy. And just go, okay, what are my bases for this deck? Soul Ring, Mana Crypt, Ancient Tomb, Rhystic Study, Cyclonic Rift, Counterspell, Force of Will, Back to Negation, Force of Negation. Okay, I already got 10% of my deck done, and I don't even care about my strategy. This, it forces you, I have to look over every single card, make sure is your pennies worth it for this? Are you going to be impactful enough? And I think it's actually caused us to be deeper deck builders because everything is so critical versus when you really don't worry about your budget or you just have it laying around. It's like, oh yeah, I'll just slap that in there because it's just good value.
And on top of that, I think another point to that is I texted Mr. Combo with this earlier. I was like, I have to cut this 7-cent card just to free up room to make 64 cards in the deck, right? Like it's insane. It's such a weird paradigm, and I'm not sure if I like it. But my brain.
Well, let's talk about. I got 2 left, and this one actually has one of your new favorite mechanics. This guy, because we're only ever swinging with Space Godzilla, so it's always going to be unblockable. Security bypass. Slam dunk in this deck. Colorless blue, 4 cents, enchant creature, or it's probably a penny on TCG Player for all I know.
Right.
It's an enchantment. As long as enchanted creature is attacking alone, it can't be blocked. Massive. Yeah. So and then enchanted creature has, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, it connives. So its controller draws a card, then discards a card. If they discarded a non-land card, they can put a +1/+1 counter on the creature. So Connive this, Tuck, a little bit. Yeah, well, I mean, if you think about it, we talked earlier about Gilded Pinions kind of being like, okay, well, this is a grain card, but it could also be a yeast card later.
Right.
Because it's like, okay, we get the treasure, but it gives it flying. This is the perfect mirror of that. Right. This is really a yeast card, but there is a sense of grain to it because you do get to draw cards and kind of filter through your deck.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were taking a breath. I was rereading this. Yeah, the only thing, the thing I don't like about it, Connive, is this card's great. Don't get me wrong. I hate that it's like stipulated on a non-land card. Like, it intentionally forces you to have to make a decision where it's like, I think if it was better, I think there's some other way where you could be like, I don't know. I don't work at R&D.
Well, Tuck, it's a good thing. There's some stuff in the spice package that can kind of get around that.
Bum. But yeah, security bypass is awesome. I just checked and inflation strikes again. It's 5 cents now.
Jesus.
But that's so good. But it's like another cornerstone, right? Like it's another cornerstone to this deck.
All right, guys. My last yeast card is Knoll Hunter. Colorless green, 2/2, creature Knoll. And this guy is maybe one of the all-stars of the deck.
Mm-hmm.
It has Pack Tactics. Whenever Knoll Hunter attacks, if you attacked with creatures with total power 6 or greater this combat, FYI, Space Godzilla is automatically a 6/6, so it automatically happens.
For those playing the home game.
And you get to put a +1/+1 counter on the creature. So once again, just doing what we're going to do, you got a 7/7. People are on 3-turn clocks.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really strong. I think it's good on its own. I'm wondering in the games that you played, did you ever just like swing in with creatures, or did you just wait until you could Space Godzilla them on?
Oh, well, I mean, there were times like early game where people were open, and yeah, I'd go get a taste.
Just for a taste, for God's sake. That's all we're asking.
Yeah. But, I mean, for the most part, it was get Space Godzilla out, threaten the board, maybe get someone 3/4 of the way to command damage, they remove it. I immediately mutated out of the graveyard onto another creature and kind of continue the path. And then I would use my instant speed interaction to either protect him or just buff him up more to kill people. And I mean, that's honestly how I won the game.
I am excited to play this deck, man. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to yet.
Well, guys, that's going to wrap up the East package. Now we're going to head over to our second to final category in the Spice. We only had 5 options, Stuck, and you know which one I'm going with.
I think
this guy is an all-star. We're talking about Stuffed Bear, because Stuffy Doll's too expensive.
Stuffed Bear. I can't believe, like, I knew as soon as I read this, I was like, oh, I know what he's talking about. I might as well pick something else.
Guys, do not sleep on Stuffed Bear.
Only if you're playing penny.
Costs 2 colorless artifact, activated ability. 2 colorless, Stuffed Bear becomes a 4/4 green bear artifact creature until end of turn. I was able to kill, sneak, activate this, and kill Bruce Tarl when Duff swung at me. He forgot that I had Stuffed Bear. Yeah, went ahead and did that. I mean, I kind of look at Stuffed Bear as like a poor man's version of Mirage's Mirror. Mirage Mirror, usually there's a little bit more versatility, but a lot of times it's like, hey, sneak a creature, can block, do something. So I love that. And then, guys, the cool thing about Mutate is I can activate Stuffed Bear for 2. We can mutate Space Godzilla on top. And then at end of turn, when it's no longer a creature, it doesn't matter. Still stays mutated. We still stay good to go. So this guy, it's in Spice because its only purpose is a body for Space Godzilla to go onto. It gets no additional evasion. It gets no perks. It's just a body.
One of what's really interesting that I'm noticing, especially in my look, I have probably, in the build I have for you now, I would say a quarter at least, or maybe more, is from Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, the same set this is out of. Like I guess their common spreads must be really strong. Or I mean, I can't look. You and I have talked at length about how we can predict cards being more expensive or not, but you cannot predict commons being good or expensive or anything, right? It's freaking impossible.
Nope.
But I just feel like for some reason the commons out of Adventures from Forgotten Realms have been like bangers. We'll get into a bunch of them next week. Spoiler alert for everyone playing the home game. But yes, I can only hope and pray that I get to cast this card and it does something. And perhaps I might just mulligan until I find it.
Well, and if you're ever in a game with the Goad or Commander Cookout, you have to be like, and I'm going to play Stuffed Bear.
Did you play with them online? With Commander Cookout?
No, I played with the Goad, but I know that they're huge on Stuffy Doll and Brash Tainer and all that kind of stuff.
Yes. Tape Puncher. Stuff Bear. It's a bear.
All right. We got 4 other options. Let me see. Let me guess. You went with the Defender.
Yeah, of course. Larder Zombie. It's the only thing that makes sense in this, right? So Larder Zombie, 1 blue for a creature zombie. That's a 1/3 with Defender. You can tap 3 untapped creatures you control. Look at the top card of the library. You may put it into your graveyard. So for me, this is just like, I got nothing else to do, right? Like this is effectively the Sensei's Divining top of this deck, outside of the Impetus. Like you have so many low-level creatures. You have so many 2-drops, so many things that you're just waiting to mutate. And I guarantee there's going to be games where you're just sitting there with 3 creatures and you have nothing else to do, right? Like no one attacked you because they knew it was a Phil's errand, or you knew that if they attacked you, your entire board would be gone and Bio-Quartz Spacegodzilla's toast. So you might as well get something out of it, right? There's not a whole ton of graveyard shenanigans in this deck because that's not the deck that we're playing. But I do think that this just gives you something to do while you're waiting around trying to get up to 6 mana, right?
Yeah, see, I like the reason I put the card in the deck because you guys will see that it is non-synergistic with Spacegodzilla because it has a Defender. So then, that you just wouldn't be able to do anything. Here was my thought: it's a penny. First off, it's a single blue, so you can play it turn 1, and now you got a 1/3 blocker. You know, blockers early is critical in these budget builds because everyone's in the red zone with their itty bitty creatures. So a 1/3 is going to deter a lot. And it's the budget way to do it. Okay, end of your turn before my turn. I guess I'll pay 2 colorless, activate Stuffed Bear, tap it, Larder Zombie, and something else, and just look at the top card and maybe put it in the graveyard. Sometimes you need that. You need just like Treasure Trove we talked about earlier, or I mentioned it. It has an activated ability. It's an enchantment, 2 colorless, blue, draw card. Right. Sometimes you just need these cards in decks where it's like, I got nothing to do. Let me just go ahead and spend all my resources into this. And that's just how I kind of look at the Larder Zombie.
Yep. I just think it's like, the only thing I think that's stupid on this is like, why didn't they just say it was Surveil? Like, it could have just been Surveil.
Oh.
Right? Like, that would...
Oh, tap 3 untap creatures you control, Surveil.
Surveil 1, right? Because then you could run disinformation campaign or whatever. The Surveil matters, rigmarole, bouncing it back to your hand.
Gotcha. All right, guys. Well, that's going to wrap up the spice package. Now we're going to head over to the bottle capping. And Tuck, I'm curious. You get to cut 3 cards and add 3 cards. I didn't really tell you too much of a budget. I think I might have mentioned like penny, 2 pennies, 3 pennies, something like that.
I think all of my choices are under a penny. I think I'm cutting a penny for a penny, or maybe 2 pennies for another one.
Okay. I was about to say, I don't think anything could be under a penny. I don't think we've gotten into half cents yet. But why don't you start it? What's the first card you're going to cut, and then what's the first card you want to add?
So I think I see what you're doing with this one, but I think we can do better because I'm all in on the Bio-Quartz Spacegodzilla plan, right? I'm all into that commander damage like we were talking about. So I'm going to cut Night Market Guard. So 3 colorless for an artifact creature construct that's a 3/1, and it can block an additional creature each combat. I think this is a really good way to like kind of stall out the game in the early part of it, but I don't know how often we're going to have Bio-Quartz Spacegodzilla untapped and on this thing at once. So it just seemed like it wasn't the most synergistic card in the deck. Now I understand, believe me,
totally fair,
that you have to put sense into this, right? So that was just the one that jumped out at me, but
Yeah, the only thing I'll say is I think I only had one way to give him vigilance in the deck.
That's kind of what I was looking into as well.
Maybe two.
Untap
so
and that
yeah,
sort of thing.
Totally makes sense.
So I am kind of non-bowing with it, but I found this card again from Adventures of Forgotten Realms for a penny. The Night Market Guard was around 3 for a penny. Bull Strength. Really solid one in here. Colorless and a green for an instant. Target creature gets +2/+2 and gains trample until end of turn, and then untap it, right? So the trample for me doesn't matter as much, but just the fact for 2 mana, you're bumping them up for the same amount that you're putting into it and giving it that sort of vigilance that we're looking for. I think that's why this is really strong.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. And the biggest thing here, guys, is when we're kind of like critiquing each other, like I'll be critiquing Tux next week. It's like you can't just go into it. You have to remember, oh, right, it's a penny. Like,
yes, you have to find
there
cards
may be nothing better.
It was tough.
I guess on its face, you're cool with a one-time burst +2/+2 and untapping Spacegodzilla for 2 because the trample, like you said, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
So. Yeah. This card's good enough for 2 mana to just get those 2 effects in your eyes?
Yeah, in my opinion. I mean, like with what we're working with, like I said, there's very little vigilance. And with the counters, I mean, like you said, if you put 1 counter on it, 2 counters on it, I mean, this could give it enough commander damage to push through, to knock someone out, and then you still have the biggest creature on the board to block with.
That's fair.
So,
well, why don't you give us your next one?
So I know why this is in here. It's V cute. I think it might be a little bit more than what we're looking for. So that's Stonefair Crocodile. So 2 colors for a green for a crocodile. That's a 3/2.
Come on!
2 colors and a black, and it gains lifelink until end of turn. I get it.
I'm telling you, you need to gain life. This card's helped save me.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't, like I said, I didn't get a chance to play a deck. For me, I don't want to pay another 3 mana on top of a 3 mana investment every turn to get lifelink back. I don't know how else we could do it, but again, this was extremely difficult to cut because this was one of the hardest ones of me going through. I looked at it last night when I got home from the bike ride. I was looking at it today. So I was trying the best I can, right?
Fair.
But there is one thing that's conspicuously missing in this deck. 2 things, really. And one of them's vigilance. And the other one is the best commander mechanic that has ever been printed. And the gods looked down on me and they smiled when they printed Staunch Throne Guard. 5 colorless for a 2/5 artifact creature construct with vigilance. And when it enters the battlefield, guess what, baby? You become the monarch. Let's go! It's incredible. Turn 5, play this. Turn 6, play your commander.
5-drop? Are you psycho?
That's how much Custodian Lich costs. People play that all over the place. It's incredible. You only have 2 in here. Like, your commander already costs 6. This is insane. It's absolutely insane. It draws you a card. We talked about how important that is. Monarch's going to be clutch.
Your commander costs 5.
Sure.
Hey, you know what? This is Tuck's deck, guys. I guess if he just wants to play land pass because the CMC's getting too high, I mean, that's more power to him. I mean, who am I to say?
1 5-drop is not going to break a 2.4. And actually, I'm dropping a...
It shattered it.
I'm not like I'm dropping a 1-drop for this. I'm dropping a 3-drop that effectively is a 6-drop because that's how much it costs to activate the ability.
You're a madman. But I will say this. Without the CMC, I don't like that.
Well, of course.
I like that it's a 2/5 because it could be a blocker.
Yeah.
That's just a good blocker on its own. You don't even need Spacegodzilla. But then if you do throw Spacegodzilla on there, now you got a vigilance target. But bare minimum, I guess the Monarch. I guess if you really want to pay...
We're talking... Okay,
I feel like we could find I feel like we could find a vigilance creature for less than 5 mana if you want to do that. So
that also draws you a card.
So you're basically paying 3 mana to just introduce Monarch.
Done. Well done.
Is that correct?
Treasure Trove costs 8 to draw a card. This costs 5 and gives you a creature.
But then someone could take the Monarch.
So what? Then you just go take it back when you smash them for 19 with Spacegodzilla. Or one of these soul creatures you have in here.
That's the thing. that's not what you want to do, because you know how Voltron works. You have to just go at one player.
Right.
If other people have your Monarch, you can't start divvying your command damage up, because then you're never going to progress the game.
Yeah, but then you have furtive.
You're just going to die.
You have furtive homunculus sitting in the spice that's ready to go and take Monarch back whenever he wants. It's amazing.
No, I wanted to cut that card, but I was just too lazy, and I'd already ordered it because I absolutely forgot that Skulk. I think it can't be blocked by greater power. I thought it was lesser power.
I don't think it's great, but I was just like, well, someone's gonna be playing the Monarch, so at least you have a way to go get it whenever you want, and that people's gonna be me.
All right. Well, what's your final cut and add for this dollar deck?
So I was kind of on the back and forth. I know why they're both in here, and I like it. But I decided to go with durable coil bug, because I think the other option,
the more expensive of the two.
I think the jungle creeper is just better. So durable coil bug is a colorless and a black for a 2/2 creature insect that has 4 black. Return it from your graveyard to your hand. So it makes sense to me that yes, hand raised.
Why is jungle creeper better?
Because it costs 1 more mana to green, but it costs the same activate ability, 5 mana to bump it back, but you get a 3/3. So in case you have to play it on its own, I'd rather have a 3/3 for 1 more mana than a 2/2 for 2. Because you still have to pay 5 for the durable coil plug. So I mean, it's one of the two. So one of them has to go. I like the jungle creeper better, for the reason that we discussed, right? So I have 2 cards here. I think they're both Ascent. But the one I'm more excited about is this one. We're about to shatter the CMC again, but this is going to give us so many options on how to smash people out. It's really stupid, but trust me, I think this is going to work. We're talking Joda's Avenger. 5 colorless for a blue, for a creature shapeshifter 4/4, that is 3 cents. 0. Until in a turn, Joda's Avenger gets -1/-1, and your choice of Double Strike, Protection from Red, Vigilance, or Shadow. I literally looked at any card that costs 3 cents or left in these colors to give it Double Strike, and this was the main one I found. This is what I actually like, because you can mutate onto this thing, and now you could give your creature Double Strike for nothing. You're already gonna have counters on it. You got the buffs. It's gonna be insane. Shadow, unblockable, just in case, by God's sake, someone has something that can block a 6/6 Trampler out the gates. That's gonna be a 10/10 Trampler.
Okay. I mean, I guess the thing I don't like the -1/-1, because that's just going to be taking long. So the double strike is fine, because then you go from 6 to 10. Right. So that absolutely makes sense. It's just like, in my head, it's like, ooh, I'd really like to do this 3 times, Shadow, Vigilance, and double strike. But now it's a 3/3, and so it's like he's still only dealing 6. Find me
a better card to give something Shadow or Double Strike, and I will happily sub it out. This is the one.
Well, I don't think you need Double Strike or Shadow. I'm just being honest. I think there's enough other ways of evasion that you can do. But hey, I mean, look, the whole reason, I would definitely say, before you cut the coil bug, reread the list, find something else, because you need multiple ways to be able to mutate. And Durable and Jungle Creeper are the only 2 that you can bring back from the graveyard. That are so it's like, if you get Bajuka Bogged, or someone gets rid of the Jungle Creeper, then you're screwed. Sure. If Spacegodzilla is just sitting in the graveyard. So that would be the only thing. I would definitely say reconsider that particular cut. But the ad, it has a lot of upside, but it also has a lot of downswing. So I'll be interested to see if you play it.
I got another one for you. And this is to give it flying, and the only card that I could find that can give it haste. So 2 colorless and black for Deep Cavern Imp, which is a 2/2 creature imp rebel for a penny that has flying and haste. But it comes with a little bit of a steepness. Discard a card for its echo cost. So it's next turn you have to discard a card, whatever. We'll discard a basic land, and then we can play. We do this, we sequence it out perfectly, right? Turn 4, we play this. Have a mana open, like Threatening Lightning Bolt, or perhaps a bounce spell. Then turn 5, discard a card, doesn't matter. Now you slap this onto, you slap your boy onto this. Now you have a 6/6 flying haste trampler. Let's go, immediately.
I am more for this than your Jodas Avenger. This is way better than Jodas Avenger. And once again, I would say reevaluate the list, because the coil bug and the troll or the jungle creeper, they're the reasons I was talking about, like, hey, connives doesn't really matter. Like, just discard one of those guys, and then you can get them back. So it's almost kind of like our budget squee nabob. That Anji Falcon Wrath decks kind of use.
Yes.
It's obviously not nearly as good, but that would also be like this, though. Echo cost, oh, sure. Pitch, durable coil bug or jungle creeper, whatever. I don't care. Yeah. They're there when I need them later. So, okay. Well, these were some pretty cool ads. And guys, if you really enjoyed this episode, we would love a 5-star review and a follow, a subscribe on our Twitch channel or YouTube channel, whatever podcast platform. You don't even have to really watch us. Just subscribe. It just helps. And if you'd like to get a hold of us to talk about the deck and kind of just exchange the minds, here's how you could do that. You can get a hold of me on Twitter at Mr. Comment number 5, all spelled out except for the 5. Be sure you at me. Sometimes people, whether it be in our Discord or that, they want to talk, but they don't at me, and so I don't know, and then I just forget, and it just goes on forever. But BigTuck, what's your new gimmick, and what's your Twitter?
I still don't have a new gimmick. It's called me trying to get people to host. It's getting people to guest star on our things. That's my Twitter thing, but you can find me out there at BigTuck tweeting. And also for our viewers here, I just put our link tree, which has everything that we've talked about this whole episode.
Awesome. You can reach our main account, guys, at CMD Tower on Twitter as well. Usually, our big things, streaming, stuff like that, we're going to broadcast on there. You can see this deck list and the cards that we talked about, plus the accompanying YouTube videos and everything like that at cmdtower.com/BNBE144. Basically, type in Ceremonial Knife, Mercurial Transformation, Durable Coil Bug, maybe not anymore, Tower.com. And just a quick reminder, guys, we would love it if you could head over to our Patreon, patreon.com/CMD Tower. Whatever you can do, we would greatly appreciate it. Our Etsy store, etsy.com, just type in CMD Tower. You're going to find all of our great swag. I believe they ship globally, and they help with the shipping and all of that. So it's a great thing. Please go out. Everything we get from both our Patreon and our Etsy sales really goes directly back into the channel, especially for Vegas, which is coming up. And then finally, abyssproxyshop.com code CMD Tower. That's where you can get all the amazing playtest cards and stuff that you've seen. You saw the Goofy Murder earlier. This is The Child that we did for Soul Ring. So they do very, very high quality cards, usually range from $3 to $5 a pop. But with our code CMD Tower, you get 10% off. So the last tip I'd give you there, if you type in custom into the search bar, you'll actually find a massive catalog of thousands and thousands of different playtest and proxy layouts that they've done for people in the community, like myself. You can actually find my Japanese Mystical Archive ones on there. You can find my Game of Thrones ones on there. They really do have everything. So, Tuck, I didn't actually say the title of the deck at the beginning, but I'll say it at the end. Spacegodzilla forgot his currency conversion. Came in from space, didn't really know that he needed to do the whole thing, and all he found was some change at the bus stop. How do you feel about the deck as a budget deck, as a deck, and how long do you think you'll keep this together? Give us a 3.
I mean, I can't imagine why I would just take it off, right? That's my thing. I don't know why I would ever dismantle this. Unless I absolutely need a campus guide and I needed to go into some sort of I don't know, some modern event or something like that. I'm gonna keep it around. Now that being said, am I gonna play this every week? I'm not convinced. But that being said, I really think you really did a bang up job here. I think you did a lot of great research. I think this is going to be really fun to play. And it was very inspirational in helping trying to find cards that are grain cards that are really hard to find in this price range, that sort of thing. So
yep.
I think it's a really solid deck. I'm looking forward to this stream more so than I thought. And I'm kind of rethinking the deck that I built you. So I might need to pivot over the weekend because it's I don't know. Don't
forget, man. I got to get the deck next week, so I have it for I guess we have. Oh no, we got 2 weeks. Okay.
I need to I need to order it next week. Is the plan.
Yes.
So that's the stated. That's my statement, Jackson. But no, like I think it's fun. Like I think the only thing I'll get. How about next week when we do yours, we can give our thoughts on the dollar budget as a whole. Because then by that point, we both would have had a deck built and one given to you. So I know
Absolutely.
I already know you're a huge fan of this. So I know you don't.
I mean, I wouldn't say huge fan. It's fun. It wins, which, I'm someone that I don't need to win every game, but I don't want to play a deck that's just crap. Play crap.
We've talked about this before. Like you play decks that have winning percentages, right? Like you want to play a deck where you can win, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I mean. It's like I'm not trying to play just shit, but I also don't need to play like the most tuned, high-powered thing ever. I actually think, Tuck, this could become your de facto end of the night. I don't want to think. I just want to jam. Because this is the most straightforward deck I can personally think of that would be in your collection.
And I think this is going to be like, to your point, I think this is going to be a really fun talking point of being like, I'm playing Spacegodzilla. Like, oh, wow. Like, are you doing like those crazy lines? Like, no, it's $1. What, including like, it's just $1. Like you have dollar cards. They're like, no, it's $1. Like take out the basic lands. It's $1. It is a fascinating experience. We'll get into this next week. I don't want to get into these final thoughts, but we definitely need to carve that out for the next episode.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out a new way to say, don't worry, guys. It's not like, oh, it's not that Zur deck. It's like, don't worry, guys, it's $1.
Yeah, it's
like
just $1.
Dollar card. No, it's $1.
Dollar Zur deck.
I need 2 rolls of pennies, and I could build this deck.
Oh, man. Love it.
All right, guys. Well, have a great weekend. Seriously, be safe, enjoy yourselves, and make sure you tune in July 11th for the Budget Showdown. BigTuck, myself, Marketing Ross, and Ultra Budget Brews from EDH Rec. See ya.